another Cornalysis video. In the first episode I talked about defaults and default utility, and I mentioned that default utility adds pressure and denies information for the enemies. However, what is pressure though? How can we abuse pressure to make ourselves able to do a lot more than we could be doing? And how can we think about pressure in numerous ways so we enable ourselves to do various plays? So the first thing that we want to talk about is how can we think about pressure. There are numerous ways how you can add pressure. For example, on Anubis on a main, someone just smokes for a main from spawn, let's say. I don't think that will land. Smokes a main from the start. Second guy from carpet area is flashing for him, and maybe two guys are just entering a main. This way you add pressure and you force the second guy to respect these smokes and respect your utility. If he doesn't, then he's gonna be blind and probably killed. Maybe he gets 1-for-1. However, there's definitely plays that he can do as well, and that just comes with a little bit more experience. What can he do? He can just smoke this off early. What do you do with that when that situation comes up? What if he smokes early? Do you just flash through it? What if he just mollies aim in fast every round? How do you respond to that? There are different things what you need to worry about and probably discuss it as well, or just keep it in your mind. Okay, what do I do if they're molly? Do I just smoke it? Do I run, or do I just cancel it? There are different things that you should think about when it comes to how do you add pressure. But adding pressure doesn't mean just peeking out with 2, for example. It could just mean the same thing, just adding a smoke here and doing like a flash just to fake out the information that they could be in a main. You have to think about what would you think if you were the enemy, if you were the CT on Anubis, a main player. What do you think when you see the smoke? Your first maybe instinct would be to try to get out, maybe molly, deny them as much as possible, fall back, and so on, so on. However, some people also just molly this and instantly go back and just to play for late round. That's also fine. So when you just do the smoke and just a flash, and nobody even has to come out, just by this anchor guy to hear the flash on a main might signalize to him, okay, they flashed into a main, so that would be the calm, and now you have to consider how would the enemy team respond. Typically, sometimes this mid guy might not want to be so aggressive towards mid or whatever, so he would want to fall back towards A just in case if they explode on A, so he's helping here and while still covering mid or something. And this little movement, just for him to get away from here to, let's say, camera, is already your big accomplishment here. So with just that pressure that you added, you might have a timing to just either shift up mid, or on that good timing you can just molly both sides, smoke a small house, or not smoke anything at all, just creep up and ask for a flash from your teammate and get this mid control. Like I said, you can also just contact this up. But of course that depends on also how the enemy's team is playing on Anubis in this case. Maybe they play 2 mid, so one guy just only rotates and there's still one more guy who's playing mid. So that also needs to be taken in consideration. If you know that the enemies are playing, majority of the times at least, 2 guys on mid, then you have to reconsider how you approach mid. Does this play still allow you to get mid that easily, right? Do you need to use more utility or do you not? So that's the way you have to think about pressure, and how can you learn to use these gaps that gonna be made when you add pressure. Same thing goes for B side. So if you wanna, let's say you wanna get an execute down on B, what would be the best case thing that you could be doing? And you have also, let's say you have a B split going on here, and then you have 2 guys connected or something, and they've been already doing their utility. Maybe they're still smoked off or something, and they're just waiting to like get con or K, V-box or whatever, however you might be calling it. So and you want to end B, right? And it's like 40-50 seconds into the round. And how can you add pressure in a different way so you enable your teammates in connector to get out safely, or not safely, but better, with the better chance of actually winning the fight? So the way you can do this is by doing like a simple execute. Let's say, I mean, this is not the ideal scenario. I think this smoke does not land, but let's just assume it does. So a temple smoke here and a left side smoke here. It's not ideal, but it will work. You can also do a city smoke, and then the B-man guys are flashing out and doing a lot of noise and taking already these fights before the connector guys are even showing up. So what does this enable? You can find two timings here actually. So the first timing is once that utility is going up, this connector player, if they have a guy in connector, will eventually want to either completely swing towards cone to clear if something's here. And let's imagine that you did apply pressure on cone, like volleying and nading and flashing and stuff. So he would know that there's somebody close cone. So he would either stay here, swing towards you, and with all of this stuff going down on B and them exiting on B main, this guy on connector should be, in an ideal world, should just be sandwiched from main and also from connector. So what can happen, and very often will happen, and you will notice that as soon as B main is getting pressured, this connector guy might run off from cone and try to help these guys. On this timing, because of all the pressure onto the B site, these guys now have a timing of opportunity to maybe punish this guy, because now he has to work. However, smart people will just completely ignore all of this and just trust that the B player is doing things, and he will just chill here. But even then it's bad, because this guy, for example, he's playing here because like this is smokes and temple is smoke. He would be playing something like this. You would eventually kill this guy. It's a tricky spot to kill, but if it's an execute and stuff like that, you should be able to kill him eventually. So, and after he dies, and if they're not playing 3B or something, then this guy on connector still will die. Either way. So connector guy, what I'm trying to say is, in this instance, connector guys should just allow the B-man guys to add pressure so that these guys can actually find better timing to actually climb up on the site. That's another way of looking at pressure in a different way, and allow yourselves to enable more timings, allowing that space to come in and actually abusing that space. So that's the way you want to think about how can you approach such and such positions of the map, such and such fights that you mainly don't really maybe feel comfortable at. Maybe look at it differently, so you guys can, like as a team, can come up with solutions to, okay, how do we get into cave with a better success rate? Do we have to always use mollies or not? Like, and so on and so on. There's different ways and different places on the maps, on different areas of the maps, that you can come up with something like that to allow a little bit of a space and wiggle room for that another space of the map that you actually want to get. And that's how you want to start thinking about pressure, and abuse it to your liking. But also understand that this works vice versa. So you have to consider, are the enemies just pressuring us so the enemy is actually doing this instead? Of course, it can be the difficult part, as you don't ever know, unless you really know for sure, what level is your opponent at. Are they a good team? Are they a bad team? And so on and so on. But these are things that you should be thinking about and abusing them into your own games, and trying to integrate them in your own system if you have any. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.